Welcome. This is another joint podcast of the Salty Yak and Endure Hunt. I'm Andrew Lukosevic, and we have a special guest today with us. So I'm going to go ahead and let both of y'all introduce yourselves.
Well, as you know from the Salty Yak Outdoors podcast, I'm your host, Cary Beason, and when he opens his mouth, it'll be a familiar voice.
Howdy, y'all. It's Nicholas.
My youngest son, and who is, we've done
quite a few.
We've had quite a few hunts together. I won't say you're my favorite hunting partner.
I'm up there,
but
you're up there with Curtis.
You're top two. You're top two. You're top two. Good. Anyway, Andrew, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, I am great. We had a fun day getting ready for our hunt. I have a new experience to talk about with my my bow setup, which is a fun story.
Oh, yeah. We didn't even
write that down.
So we were jotting down notes about what we were going to talk about, and we didn't. How did we miss that? So let's just kind of start this quick. So you and your lovely wife showed up. Got to meet her for the first time. You met my lovely wife. She's here. They're both sitting in the living room, nodding their heads, thinking these are nerdy ass little boys. Looking at
Well, we're talking about different rifle calibers and all the nuances of equipment and stuff, and they're like, "Yeah, okay."
But they did well shooting their rifles.
Oh yeah.
So, suppressor. You brought out the 30 Vanish, and on your 300 Blackout.
What'd you think?
Loved it. Shooting it without the headphones. I'm real excited, but my true test is I want to.
Better mute that.
It's not me, I don't think. It is. Oh, it was me. Sorry about that. Loved it, but I want to see the recoil reduction in my 300 Win Mag. So we'll get that arranged.
It didn't feel like it felt like I was shooting your 223. Yeah. It felt like there was no recoil. It was amazing.
But the AR platform doesn't have a whole lot of recoil anyway. 300 Blackout doesn't have a whole lot of recoil anyway. But dude, just the sound suppression. I am looking forward. I hope them hogs show up today. Because I'm going to get some video of you cutting down on them with that 300 Blackout with that suppressor.
Yeah, I loaded up the mag just to be safe.
We'll
many bullets you can get off.
So I love the suppressor. What did you think about the muzzleloader?
The muzzleloader is cool. I actually really liked that. It's kind of interesting. So my wife has a single shot 243, and it's very similar to that because you have to breech it open. Obviously, the single shot's a lot easier because you just pop the old round out, put a new one in, slam it shut. You're good to go.
Don't have to clean it every 2 shots.
No.
There's a downside.
Yeah. But it was really nice. I really liked it. It felt like shooting. I mean, obviously, we went over whatever that sleeve is you put on the round.
And not all of them are like that. Some of them are different. There's not a little.
Now, is that a Thompson Center rifle?
That's a Thompson Center Encore that we were shooting.
Okay.
So they didn't, not every round has that little cup that the bullet fits in. But you saw the bullet. The bullet is a modern projectile with a ballistic tip on it. And it's a 50 caliber.
Yeah. It does damage.
225 grains or something coming out of that dang thing. Anyway.
Yeah, but you use that good powder. And one of the things, because when I watched a lot of there was a period about a year ago, because I was at Dallas Safari Club a year ago this weekend, I think. And I was there with my buddy Taylor, and we were going down the rabbit hole in our hotel room watching muzzleloader hunts because we're both talking about how we want them to open up more units in the West. And obviously it extends the unit here in Texas, extends the season here in Texas. And every time I see someone take a shot, you just have this huge cloud of smoke and you can't see anything. But I shot that thing twice, and both times the smoke dissipated pretty quick, and I'm guessing it's because you're using that fancy powder stuff that you've got.
The Pyrodex is less smoky, but we also had a fairly decent breeze too, so it's not that big a deal.
Yeah,
I've never had a problem seeing the animal that I shot afterwards. I do love that I get another 2 weeks, but like I told you, I heard a rumor, and this is a rumor right now, I haven't confirmed it, that supposedly Texas Parks and Wildlife is looking at next year. So this would be 2024 season, the end of next deer season, that the 2-week muzzleloader season at the end will be a primitive weapon season, being that you could use a recurve bow, a long bow, or a compound bow in addition to the muzzleloader for those last 2 weeks. So basically we'd end up having another 2-week archery season at the end after rifle season's over, which I'm all down for. I would love to I talk about shooting these 2 does for the freezer. I would love to shoot them with my bow. But technically I can't but I'm going to shoot them with a muzzleloader, and it's fun. And I would love to go out west. There's a lot of them, a lot of the states that have changed, the optic rule. We're both, former Marines. I'm fairly certain when you went to the range,
iron sights.
Yeah, we all used iron sights.
Fun fact. So when I finished basic, I was one of the last companies that I'm aware of that did iron sights. They switched to the RCO.
Uh-huh.
My brother is in the middle of Army basic training right now, and they make him do, so their rifle, and he's in Fort Leonard Wood. I don't know if it's different depending on where you go. 3 weeks. The first week is just like it's like your grass week. Basically, You're getting ready, you're sitting down, being uncomfortable, but they make him qualify iron sights and RCO. Good. So he shot iron sights. I was thoroughly happy because, and they only do it after 300 yards, whatever. But still, they do iron sights. It's like, that's great.
That's, so I would be totally okay.
That's my plan.
Going muzzleloader hunting with open sights.
That's my plan. Anyway. I want it to be, I'm not the type of person that has a safe full of 15, 20 guns.
Me either.
I would rather have a couple that I can upgrade, know how to use really well, and they're versatile. Mm-hmm. I want one muzzleloader that is going to be iron sights that I can shoot out from. I was going to get the CVA Optima. That's what my buddy has, the V2. Yep. So my buddy has it, Kent Boucher. I think that's the one he has, and a few other people I know have it. But the guide I had for the 2022 season in Arizona recommended the Acura. They have the Bergara barrel, which is a nicer barrel. And there's an MR and an LR. And the MR, I think, is 4 inches shorter.
It is.
And that's the one I want to go for, I think. It's
and
the
about
Acura
$200
MR.
More.
It is about $200 more.
You sound like you've done research on this.
I have maybe been on muzzleloader.com looking, because I always looked at the CVA, same exact one, because I'm like, okay, I'm going to get one with a stainless barrel. Mm-hmm. But looking at the other ones, they're Cerakoted barrels and stuff, but they look really sweet. I was looking like I could do that. Anyway,
well, here's the thing. From my experience carrying, well, we don't have it in here, but you've seen my 308. Mm-hmm. That sucker is huge. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I hunted with that thing with a muzzle, with my suppressor on it, carrying it around. Mm-hmm. I know how daunting it is to carry that thing, and the LR is a 29-inch barrel.
It is.
That's not including like the full rifle. Like, it's 29-inch barrel.
How heavy is that gun?
I don't know. I don't remember. Weight, I'll be honest, weight for me, like I will take a heavier rifle because I don't want to sacrifice on it. Mm-hmm. So I will skimp elsewhere in my pack if I need to. Okay. But I'll carry the heavier rifle if I'm confident in it.
Well, that's what, Brady Miller go hunt.
Yeah.
14-pound rifle, because he goes, that's what's doing the killing. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to take this thing, even though it weighs 14 pounds, because I am super confident. I'm super good with it. And I don't,
No, you don't. He's not wanting to skimp out on this. You like you said, you'll sacrifice somewhere else if you wanted to.
I can shoot 3/4 of an inch at 200 yards with that rifle.
Nice.
I will carry it. I do not care.
So muzzleloader was fun.
Yeah.
So maybe that's, we'll have to.
I like that a lot.
We'll go down, and I carried it. I've usually got just a few days to go do it. In the now guy hunting, when we usually go, the last 2 years, I don't think I've used it because the now guy hunt interfered with the muzzleloader season. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so we shot the rifles.
Yep.
The lady shot the rifles, did well. And then we shot our bows.
We did. Yes.
Nicholas brought his new pronghorn target.
Brand new Reinhardt pronghorn target.
We're getting ready here in how many days? What's today?
Today's Saturday, so 6 days now.
In 6 days, we leave for Arizona for the Coos deer, which I think we're pretty much just chasing.
It's basically a Coos deer hunt.
We could shoot a mule deer if we ran across one, if the quota wasn't full in that unit. But anyway, I think we're looking for Coos deer.
Well, that's the thing, right? You can hunt mule deer in a bunch of different states. You can hunt them here in Texas, and you did, and we're going to get there. But you can only hunt Coos deer basically in Arizona. They have some tags in New Mexico too, I think. But
they do.
Arizona's the state. If you're going to go, why not?
It's a little whitetail, little mountain, desert, whatever whitetail. Anyway, so we're going to do that. So I was like, hey, when I texted you this morning, I was, bring your bow. Nicholas is going to be here, and we'll fling some arrows. So you brought your new Reinhardt antelope target.
Mm-hmm.
You brought the turkey target.
Mm-hmm.
And we started shooting, and we were doing fairly well. Some better than others. I sucked a little bit.
I was on today.
Well, somebody was a little more on than you.
Yeah, he was.
The guy. If you listen to the Indoor Hunt podcast, you've heard him talk about he's thinking about buying a new bow. Well, what did you do today?
I got my first Robin Hood at 45 yards. But I'm going to attribute it to the new release.
Okay.
So I've been using, I actually don't remember what brand it is. Crap. I don't know. Well, I know what the new one is. So I've been using your standard index release, and I upgraded from the basic crappy one that when I first bought my bow. This one, you can actually adjust the length of pull so it fits perfect and it doesn't wobble around and stuff. So I've been interested in thumb button releases for the longest time. And I've heard that you might have to adjust your length, the length of pull, the draw length. And so I've just hesitated. But when I picked one up, I got Trophy Ridge, is who I have basically all of my accessories on my bow from. And I found them because of the Hunting Public. They're sponsored, I think, by Trophy Ridge. And I like all their stuff. I've had good experiences with it. So picked up their new thumb button release. I have not shot it until this morning. And I was like, hey, season's over and we're shooting some arrows. Why not have some fun?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the turkey targets at 45 yards, took 2 shots, and well, I Robin Hooded it, and I got to figure out how to save it now because
As I'm walking up to that target, I'm thinking that's a pretty good group.
Yeah, it looks like a
I'm
great
thinking
group.
one is like right underneast the other one. And then I get a little closer and I'm like, oh, hell.
I got 6 inches of penetration on my own arrow.
Well, it ought to stick together. It'll be fine.
It is about as perfect as it gets because it's like right down the shaft. It's hilarious. I can't believe it.
You got to mount it somewhere now.
I know. I got to find a way.
$50 setup now.
Yeah.
You need $50 down the drain. But hey, again, congratulations.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I've never done a Robin Hood.
I'll probably never do it again.
Nicholas has got one hanging in here on the wall that he did a long time ago.
With that lights out.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Is that the only one you've ever done?
That's the only one I've ever done. I've busted a knock with this with that Matthews outside, but it is I really think I've done 7 where in 2 of them the arrows I couldn't use anymore because I chipped the carbon, but I think I've busted 7 knocks with that. Yeah, but that Matthews now
to drive one, busting the knock or tearing a fletching off another one. We've all done that, but to drive it right down the center of the other one, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, congrats, man. That man, that takes some real consistency, like you were saying, like you've never done it. I got lucky once and did it. And it was just the amount of consistency that it takes to Robin Hood an arrow is nuts. And at 45 yards. Yeah. I think I did mine at 20.
Yeah.
I was just having fun, to be honest. No stress. The thing that I could tell, and that's the crazy thing, I could tell that my draw length I need to pull it back about a half inch, I think.
Yeah, you talked about
But
that.
I had done, at this point, I think I did 7, 8 arrows, and I figured out, all right, this is where I need to hold. And just did it 2 times. And I stopped shooting after that. And I was like, we're going to call it a day. We're good. I'm good.
So that got that done.
Yeah.
And so we're getting ready for a hunt this afternoon.
Yes.
Where we're going to take your wife and we're going to go sit over where you killed Lopside.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to sit in the rifle stand this time.
Yeah.
And look for her a legal buck. And if the hogs show up, they'll be in trouble too.
Oh, yeah. If hogs show up, suppressor is going to get some use.
So that's why we're together here today to do this. To take your wife hunting. My wife has taken her son Brendan, my stepson. They're going behind the house and looking for. He's back into hunting. He hadn't killed a deer in 10 years, and he wanted to go hunt again. And he came. I guess it was 2 weeks ago. We came up here with Jake, his buddy, and Jake got his first deer. So you grew up with a silver spoon in your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Because you hunted, you had somebody that took you in hunting and fishing since day one. And I'm still gonna do it for every day I live. So
yeah.
And one day you'll have kids.
One day.
To be the dad and take them hunting.
Well, the hope is always to make it better for them than it was for us, right?
That's all a parent really ever wants is just for their kid to have it better than they did.
Mm-hmm.
Hang on, I think I got a picture here, Andrew, if I can get it.
Oh, yeah, let's see it.
Move back up here. What else? What else did we want to talk about?
Well, let's see. This is the end of the season in Texas. It's the last weekend. Well, not counting the late season.
Not counting the late season, but
Rifle
this last
season.
general season.
Mm-hmm. End of the general season. So happy to be finishing it here with y'all. I've done a lot of hunting here with you this year.
Yeah, man.
It's been good, though.
And here's the great thing. Yes, we met over social media. We've talked about this, but you're close.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I love being able to connect to people, and we've hit it off. I mean, I hope you sprang some bad news on me today.
I did,
and we're not going to say what that is, but you sprang some bad news on me. But even after this needs to continue.
Yeah.
What I see, and this is just what in my mind right now, we'll meet somewhere out west and hunt together.
Yeah.
Exactly. So.
Well, the nice thing is I have points in basically every state. The only states I'm not building points in right now, I think, are Oregon and Washington.
And I don't know that we've talked about this, but I've talked about this with other people. So in Texas, when we go, like the three of us sitting here at this table, we go hunting, we're all going hunting, right? We all have a license, and we all have a weapon, and we're all going hunting. But out west, it changes. I had a buddy from work. He just went with his other buddies just to go with them to have the experience. And if they killed something, he'd help them carry it out. That's not a Texas thing. I don't know.
It's different.
It's different.
When you go out west like that, especially depending on what your application strategy is, it takes time to draw tags.
Mm-hmm.
Like I got that Arizona elk tag. It might take 5 years to draw another tag. But if you have a group of buddies and you're all applying and someone gets lucky and you can go out, oh yeah.
So I'm showing Andrew a picture of Nicholas. He might have been 2.
Yeah, I think I have that picture too.
He might have been 2, and he's holding his fishing rod with his little fish that he caught.
Was that my first fish I caught?
Probably not.
Probably not. Okay. I've just always said that was the first fish I've caught.
I don't know.
Who knows?
Probably not. So,
yeah.
But you grew up with a silver spoon in your mouth because we always hunted and fished since day.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway.
What was I saying? Oh, yeah. So you might not draw a tag, but one of your buddies does. And you get so much experience going out there. Like you said yourself, going out, you feel like you get, I don't know, years worth of experience from one hunting trip.
No doubt.
Yeah,
and
you ain't kidding.
The more chances you get to go out there, when you do have the tag, you'll be better set.
And maybe we'll get into this, talking about drawing tags in application strategy. So we're putting in for New Mexico, but me and the 2 other guys that I'm putting in with, we're putting in as individuals. And we've already made the commitment to each other. If one of the other ones draw, we will go with them to help them. Even though we don't have the tag, we will go with, if they draw, that we'll go with them to help. So kind of the same thing. You get the experience, and who knows, you might even get a little elk meat out of it.
Yeah.
Who knows?
So you want to do 2 hunts a year. What happens if you get lucky and you get 3 tags or something? Will you do more than 2, or is 2 your number?
It would all be up to scheduling and what my wife would let me get away with. I have the best wife in the world.
I'll argue with that.
I'll argue with that one too.
I will argue with both of you that I have the best wife in the world. You've only been married to yours for less than a year, for sure. Well, so like months, less than 6 months.
At least I've been with my wife for 9 years, so we got time.
Well, so we've been married 12 now.
Well, hold on. Here's the deal. I started hunting after I was with my wife, so she's had to put up with all of this since the obsession came.
Here's why I'm the luckiest man, because my wife loved to hunt.
Have you changed it, Nick?
Because my wife loved to hunt, before me. So it was something that we've learned to do not learn to do, but we get to do together. But your wife likes to hunt, your wife likes to hunt. So, hey, we're all lucky. I don't know.
We are.
What it really boils down to is, do I have enough vacation time to take her?
Yeah, that's my problem.
Same.
That's probably when it comes down to brass tacks. That's probably would I have enough vacation time to take off to go.
Curtis won't let you take off a little more, a little extra.
Curtis, even though he's higher up in the food chain than I am, he didn't get to dictate how much vacation I take.
Dang.
I have to earn the hours to take.
Okay,
and that's how it goes.
Yeah,
so
still
anyway, I don't know. Depends, and maybe it comes down to this other one is a better hunt, or it's more desired, or whatever. So maybe I don't do a cow spike hunt. Maybe I go and do the bull hunt.
You get a general tag. Yeah, I was like, like if I had to choose between tags like that, it's like I would rather have the general tag over a spike or a cow tag. So so if it came down to it.
I think some states let you return tags and restore points too. So if you have the ability, so
dang. Okay.
Some can. So Arizona, they have I forget what it's called.
Point guard.
Yeah, point guard.
Yes.
You restore your points. You can only do it once. I always buy that.
Always buy the point guard. Now, when you start you get more than 1 point, you should start buying the point guard.
Yeah. Your first time, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, if you could return points, that'd be a factor for me too. It all depends. And like you said, scheduling is a big one. And yeah, what the species is, I think, would matter too. But generally for me, I mean, we're talking about applications. I usually know which hunt I want and I apply for that one. And the rest of them, I build points. And I'll throw a couple like Hail Marys out there. Arizona is usually a Hail Mary and New Mexico is always a Hail Mary.
Because you just don't know. You don't know what you're going to get. You can look at it and scheme and plan. I was looking at a bunch of the New Mexico units, and some of them, are less than 1%.
Yeah, but some of them are like 30.
Well, it depends, right? Yeah. So you got to kind of look at it, and you got kind of and
there's a reason that one's 30.
There's exactly. But also, like just boiling it down to the archery elk. Do I want to go the 1st through the 14th, or do I want to do the 15th through the 30th?
Those dates matter.
It does. It matters. And one set of dates is a little easier to draw than the other set of dates. And I'm looking at that and I'm like, well, I'm thinking I'm new to elk hunting, but if I'm thinking everything I've heard, I'm thinking the latter dates would be better they would be more in full rut at that point. But if you can only go the first ones, then that might be okay too.
And you'll still catch them bugling. So, yeah, you'll get them.
So anyway, just how that kind of works out. I would gladly go with somebody else. We've already made that commitment. But that was, I guess, with long way around just talking about that we were going to continue hunting together.
Oh, I'm still applying in Texas too. I want to do that nil guy out of what is it called? The Laguna Atascosa. I want that hunt so bad.
And there's more than that one. That one's a great one, but there's like some rifle hunts down there. And
yeah. I'm still doing like 20 something applications in Texas.
Like what you were talking about, like gaining, or both of y'all, like gaining all the experience just in 1 or 2 hunts. I feel like now, like, especially on that hunt,
we were all killing.
I feel like I've got the knowledge of the land now. The only thing that I want to change is our way in. And I think we have that fixed now.
I think we do. I would have loved to go down there and figure it out.
But
our little group of 6 that we've hunted down in the last 2 years together. And that's the thing about going multiple times to the same place, whether it's down there, whether it's wherever, you figure it out. And you get better and better and better.
Yeah, I've got an area that I'm going to go to when we get drawn again. I'm 100% confident I will get probably multiple opportunities to shoot an out guy, and hopefully it is a big one this time. There's only one way to go up. I can only go up from the one I shot.
So let's. I got a text from a Salty Yak Pack member the other day, yesterday. He's in Laguna, bow hunting right now.
Yeah.
He's not hunting the place that we normally hunt, but they saw 14 now guy yesterday.
There you go.
Wow.
None of them close enough to shoot. So he saw 3 whitetail and 14 now guy. I'm like, dude, you're in them. I'm like, just
keep after them.
Well, technically that is a whitetail hunt, right?
It is.
So it's
technically it's a whitetail, but there's a little thing that says you can do nil guy. Yeah.
Exactly. You get drawn for the whitetail. But yeah, I could care less to shoot a white. I mean, I've shot last year. I shot at 2 whitetail bucks out down there, but I'm there looking for the now guy. So
yeah, and it's like last year. It's like I had a nice bull at about 81 yards, and I threw it around in my head for a second. Like, do I just go ahead and take the shot? Because I would have swore up and down he was within 60 because he was that big. Like I pulled out my rangefinder, I hooked on my bow, pulled out my rangefinder, click 81, and I'm like, did click, 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 click. Again, 81, 81, 82, and I'm like,
your max is 70, right?
Yeah, with that the arrow setup I have, it's 70, and I'm like, well, I've shot 80. I'm very comfortable at 70. I can shoot 80 and 90, but him being so big that I felt like I could just keep that pin on him, but I was like, if I could just 5 more yards, if I could just get to 75, I will take it. But when I got on my belly and was crawling and to get up there, because the grass where he was is not 2 inches tall, but he's down there feeding with 3 other bulls. And every time I'd crawl about 10 yards, poke my head up, range him again, and he just kept getting further. I finally picked it up, and then whenever it hit 101, I was like, I think this isn't going to work.
Which brings me to something you said about your Montana hunt.
Oh, Jesus.
So you went Montana mule deer hunting this year.
Yep.
Rifle hunting, right? Have a good time?
Yes. I will say that, yes. It was a good experience looking back on it now. In the moment, there were some struggles, and there were like day one where I got stuck in my truck and I had no cell service and I was worried what was going to happen. That was not fun then.
No.
But no, looking back on it, I learned a lot. I could confidently go back there if I wanted to and find deer and pronghorn and elk and other things. But yeah, that was a humbling hunt, I would say.
You got to hunt with Peter and his dad again. So
Love
that was excellent. I remember you sending me the video of the elk. You're like, we're looking for mule deer, and all I can find is bull elk.
We had at least a 350-inch bull within 50 yards. We have that. Peter has that deadhead.
Yeah.
For those that are watching on my YouTube, I will put a picture up of it. That thing makes my elk look tiny, and my elk's 280 inches. So he's nothing, not small, but he's not a raghorn. That one is at least, I think, 315. And these bulls that were in front of us made that one look small.
So Nick was talking about, taking his 80-yard shot. I love what you said, because it has happened to me. I have done it. You talked about you're not as moral as you think you are in the heat of the moment. So Nicholas, thinking, well, I'm usually good at 70, but I'm going to shoot him at 80. And I have been there, and in the situation, like, send it.
I mean, I said it on my podcast. I did, and thank God it was a clean miss. Nick's a better man than both of us, apparently.
But so I got it. If he would have stood there a little longer, because probably would have flung it. But thing is, so he's got his head down and he's feeding, and he's not staying in the same spot for very long. But I just got it in my head. 5 more yards. Give me 5 yards, and I will fling this arrow.
Are they grazers like elk?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
No, but there was the crazy thing. Like, he was the biggest bull out of this group of 4. But he was the closest one too, so it's like I didn't even have another option. The other ones are like 90, 110, and I think I'm not sure, but I had a calf walk up to them while I was trying to stalk in, walk up to them and walk back off. I'm wondering if that's the calf I shot.
No,
I don't know if it was the bull, because I shot a calf that was. It was a bull. He's got
horns.
He probably got 2.5, 3 inch little horns on him. But still, like you're saying, like, you get in that heat of the moment, and it's like,
especially if it's your first.
Oh,
that's
so
Like I wanted to get
Heat
that
of
way
the
with the
moment
whitetail.
Let's talk.
Or maybe if it was a 200-inch whitetail, I might get in that moment. But
Let's talk about we'll talk about in the moment, right?
Heat of the moment.
So we were going to talk about Nicholas's first mule deer because we're talking about mule deer hunting right now.
I was going to do the giant bull now guy on the very first time we went to Laguna bow hunting.
Oh, the one that you go ahead.
So just I'll keep it quick. So very first time, very first day. First, it's the afternoon now. Well, it's not even afternoon. It's getting twilight, getting close to twilight, and I get on this group of cows that I'm following them up the sendero. They're open. I don't know what you want to call it, but I lose them. But I find this giant bull with a cow, and I managed to creep all the way up to him. 55 yards. I'm running a black gold. I was running a black gold single pin sight. Roll that thing to 55. I needed to take one more step to get around a mesquite tree, and I've got him. I have got him until his cow that I didn't see pokes her head back out, and she is staring dead at me. Well, me not really I'm thinking they're going to be like whitetail and they're going to spook off. Oh no, this bull being 800 pounds, 7 foot tall at the head. And he walks around that mesquite tree and walks at me. He stops at 51 yards. I ranged him. He's dead facing me at 51. And I thought about shooting him right there.
Taking a frontal
at 51. And I was like, probably shouldn't do that. Well, then he walked closer. He probably got 30, if not closer, maybe 28, 29 yards. And I probably would have shit myself. Because him standing straight in front of me, you look at him from the side, they're nice, this light gray and all that. Him standing head up with me, he is black from head to toe, just jet black. And I'm waiting for him to turn, and he goes to turn. I flip that pin up. I held in that bow for felt like 10 years, but it was probably a few minutes. Pull that pin up, put it on it, fling it. It was still set at 55, and so I shot about 3 foot over his back. That one haunts me to this day. But
that's my fear about slider sights.
So that's why I swapped to a 4-pin slider sight. So that way, I have those extra pins because usually I have 20, 30, 40, and 50. Mm-hmm. So now I at least have it in my head now to where it's like, okay, if he's 50 and in, I don't have to touch anything. Even at 55, I've shot to 55 and 60 without sliding it. And I'm very confident in that. But what you were wanting to talk about was my very first mule deer.
So the sliding pin thing right quick.
Okay.
Cary's opinion. If you're whitetail hunting in a bow in a elevated platform or pop-up blind like we were, and you have time,
if you have time
to range, and he's not going to see you range him, and you have that time to do that, they're golden. Going to tack, golden, mm-hmm. right? Hunting elk, hunting now guy, where you're going to be close and making that extra movement and stuff like that, trying to getting the exact range so you can, and then adjusting the sight, maybe not. So I got a 20, 30, 40. In my mind, I'm like, if he's 40 or further, then I have probably the time and the ability for me to range him and slide it without him seeing me. That's just the way I think about it. So let's talk about, so we were talking about mule deer hunting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the whole, what happens when, in the heat of the moment.
The morals go out the window.
So me and Murphy leave Colorado, and I go down and meet Nicholas at the place that we hunt up in the Panhandle, where we hunt mule deer up there. Been hunting there 10 years. Took us about 3 years, but year number 3, we started killing mule deer because we kind of figured it out. But we hadn't hunted there. I hadn't hunted there in the last 2 years, but I'm figuring it's pretty much the same areas. So Nicholas comes down. Murphy literally drops me off with the tent and all the stuff and leaves. I set up the tent. And
so
then
if Nick didn't show up, you were in trouble.
he was.
I was already on the way.
Well, it's only like a 9-hour drive, so he was already on the way.
Yeah.
So he was going to, so he gets there about dark anyway. So we go out mule deer hunting the next morning. We go so we got a glassing knob that we go sit on, and we have seen multiple mule deer bucks that we ended up killing from this glassing knob. Never fired a shot off this glassing knob, but it's in a really good place to start off looking. Get up there that morning, get situated, gets light, looking,
cold,
and it's cold.
I mean, the Panhandle does actually get cold. For people that think Texas doesn't get cold, the Panhandle gets cold.
It had snowed the day before.
Snowed the day before.
There was still a little snow on the ground, but
21 when we woke up. I think it was 21.
Typical Texas, the snow didn't stick around very long.
No.
Yeah,
we're sitting there, we're glassing, and it's pretty light, and I'm like, I wouldn't seen any mule deer, which is unlike, you at least see does. And I wouldn't see anything. And we're on the public land, but you can see a bunch of private. And generally we see a bunch of does on private. And that's the whole game where we're hunting up there is you got to wait them to come back on public. And then we'd been there 30 minutes, 45?
30 minutes, about 30 minutes. And I looked down at this because we're on top of this knob and it goes down and it makes another little hump right in front of you. And it goes down again. And out of the back of the hump, I see this doe start walking up the hill, and I'm like, "There's deer."
Yeah. I'm like, "Where?" He's like, "Right in front of us." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, 80 yards, literally, right in front of us.
Yep. And then I looked at him like, "There's a second." I picked up my binoculars. I see her. I'm like, "It's a doe." And then I looked below her, and I'm like, "There's a buck below her."
And so this other deer, I can see like.
I could see like his neck is all I could see.
Upper body.
So what made you think it was a buck?
I saw his horns.
Okay, so you could see them.
I could see his horns, but
I'm looking at him.
I saw him move his head, and I could tell he was a buck.
He was looking in our direction, and I'm looking at him 12 power binoculars, 80 yards, and I'm not sure that he's a buck. We're not now when we say we're hunting Texas public mule deer.
He's a spike.
So you're going to shoot
anything,
any illegal buck deer. So,
at the moment, I was like, it's a spike.
So I'm looking at him, and I said, I need him to move his head because I don't know if I'm looking at mesquite tree behind him or horns. And so he turns his head. I'm like, yes, it's a spike. So he moves up. The doe had already started walking off. I said, he's just going to follow that doe. And he does. He moves up there, and he's probably 100, 120.
Chip shot, right?
Yeah. So Nicholas is shooting this 300 Win Mag that he shot, and he's killed a bunch of stuff with. And he's standing broadside at 120. Call it 120.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got them binos. I'm just right there, right behind the shoulder. Boom. And I watch dirt fly 6 inches above his back. And I'm like, you shot right over him. He's
what?
Like, what? You shot right over him.
I racked that round. And as soon as you said I missed, because I don't miss.
You did.
It happens to everybody.
I know, but I'm just...
Anyway.
With a rifle, I'm so confident every time I pull that trigger. Bow hunting's a little different, but
yeah.
With a rifle, I'm so confident, and I shot that gun. I shot accidentally, really. I shot almost a whole box of ammo out here just shooting, just because I love shooting that gun. It's one of my favorite guns I have, and I'm so confident with it.
Where did you get that gun?
You.
So that was the first 300 Win Mag I ever bought. Killed my first mule deer with that one, and that's why I bought that gun, was to shoot mule deer with.
Because we got that gun to go to our Del Rio hunt.
Yeah, it did,
and it killed a buck at the time my biggest deer ever, and a giant outad.
It's killed a bunch of.
But anyways,
is that the outad that's up here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
and the buck that's in there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's so. Pull the trigger. He says I missed. I get flustered. I got flustered, and I rack
it goes downhill really dang. Like you cut the cable on the elevator quick. What's going?
There was no like when he says it goes downhill. There was no downhill. I jumped off the cliff.
At this point, he has lost all composure. He's like, "What?" I'm like, "You missed."
I rack another round, and there's an interesting story behind that too. So, get back on him, and at this point, get the crosshairs on the deer and get a bullet in this deer. And so I just center massed him, straight liver shot him. And
there might have been a touch of gut.
Well, with a 300 Win
you
mag,
learned that it was a cold bore. Your cold bore.
So
was the
I
problem,
learned
yeah?
that the cold bore shot with this, it's a Thompson Center Venture 300 Win mag. Cold bore for, I don't know, it's just a cold bore shot. It is literally 6 to 10 inches high on a cold bore shot. I don't know why, but every shot after that will be dead on.
I don't know. You need to look at the way it's bedded into the stock and some other stuff. Anyways,
but long story short,
second shot,
middle
of the middle.
Right? And so he starts
lethal
coming,
though. Lethal.
Oh, it was lethal
with a 300 Win mag. You're putting a pretty good hole in him. So you not only got liver, got a little gut, and
so he's
and he starts coming back to us. And at this point, I realize is that I have only 2 bullets in this gun because a few days
more.
Nope.
So you used both shots.
So the gun holds 3 in the magazine, and a few days before I shot Towers, the deer at my place, and I didn't put that bullet back. I didn't put the replacement bullet back in the gun.
Oh no!
So it just slipped my mind. I never thought about it, and so I go to reload and it dawns on me like I don't have another bullet in the mag, so I have to go digging in my pack for another bullet. That I just throw a bullet in there, so rack the action.
The deer has swapped directions now.
He's coming back to us.
It's going instead of right to left, it's going left to right. And there's a little brushy line, kind of a draw in front of us. Of course, it's fairly open, but as he's going into that brushy line, I'm telling Nicholas, he's like, I don't have it. I was like, get another bullet in it. You go to have to shoot him again. Get another bullet.
I was like, well, I don't really have a shot. And he said, shoot. He just kept saying, shoot. Well, I shot.
And I'm thinking, make a good behind the shoulder shot.
He just said, shoot.
That's what I'm shoot. We need to shoot him
in your
again.
head. You're saying, take a good shot.
Like, yeah.
Nicholas is hearing, put a damn bullet in him.
That's
and the only thing that Nicholas could see, evidently, was what?
I can see his ass.
So a Texas heart shot.
Well, no, but he's from the side.
Yeah, man. Well,
that's a Texas heart shot. Is it not?
Texas heart shot. It goes up the butthole.
Oh, see, I always thought it was the hind quarter. I always just thought it was the hind quarter.
No, it goes up the butthole.
No, so I made a very ill-advised shot, and he went down.
E for effective. Not the way you want to do it.
No, I as soon as I did it, I was like, yeah, I know I shouldn't have done that, but
he's down.
I was pretty embarrassed.
All we can see is the grass and stuff flopping where he is. I'm like, he ain't going anywhere.
I'm pretty embarrassed about it, but I mean,
hey, you got your first mule deer.
In the moment,
shit
it's
happens.
So tough. I mean, are you familiar with PCCs and PCIs?
I am not.
Is that a term that you remember? Was that a term when you were in?
Mm-mm.
Pre-combat checks and pre-combat inspections? So before you go out on a patrol, you inspect all of your gear, make sure everything is the way it's supposed to be, and you check it to make sure you have everything you're supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
Checking your mags, make sure they're full. It's part of your PCCs.
Mm-hmm.
I do that before every hunt because I'm like, all right, I'm going to check my gear, check everything, make sure it's all there.
I usually do, but
usually,
yeah. And believe me, now it's like with that now guy. You make that mistake once, and you never gonna make it again.
Well, that's the thing. As long as you learn from the experience, and the animal died, so it's okay. Like, it's not like you wounded it and it went off and it's living its life miserably. You're going to get killed by a coyote.
Mm-hmm.
I've eaten quite a bit of him already.
How do you taste?
Delicious.
All right. So clearly wasn't that stressed.
Young and tender. Well, here's the thing. I mean, Nicholas is a pretty big boy anyway, right? So we quarter this thing up, and I'm like, you're going to carry the whole thing out. It wasn't much, but we ended up, he couldn't get the pack that he has. He couldn't get the front shoulders, so I ended up having to carry the front shoulders out. So.
Yeah, I couldn't. So we couldn't fit it all in one pack.
He could carry it.
I could carry it.
He could certainly have carried it all.
Yeah.
But
it wasn't like a certain someone's deer he shot that all fit in one bag in one pack.
I didn't do that.
Not you. No.
You're talking about your older stepbrother.
My older adopted brother,
Ryan. But
okay.
But hey, a kill is a kill.
A kill is a kill,
right? So we talk about
public land,
at bats. And if you could sneak up on a whitetail and shoot it with your bow, even though it might be a yearling doe, it's okay.
Hey, that's some veal right there.
You got to get experience. And you have to have kills under your belt before you can start getting picky, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you don't know how to kill a doe, good luck shooting a mature buck.
That's why whenever I saw this calf bedded on the side of one of these little hills, I'm going after him.
Yeah.
I gotta try.
I wouldn't shoot a Nalgai calf. I'm shooting as many of them as I can. They're delicious.
Oh, yeah. I'll vouch for that. Like, it is.
I mean, a Nalgai calf's the size of a white-tailed deer.
Oh no, he was bigger than most deer we killed.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, though. Like, if my wife was on the podcast, she could vouch for this. I used to have the worst buck fever, and I mean, didn't matter if it was a buck or not.
She is shaking her head. Yes,
she's been there where I could take a shot on a target at 600 yards, and I know without a doubt, when my gun's set up and I've actually practiced, when I pull that trigger, it's hitting. I will get up on a buck at 100 yards, and I will somehow shoot 6 inches over its back. I used to be that way. The only thing that has helped has been repetitions. I have enough animal, and I think that's what it is. I talked about that with Adam on my podcast. I think I just have enough repetitions at this point that I can control my breathing, and I don't panic the way that I used to.
Yep.
So I'm right there with you. Like, when I was in about middle school into high school, I had a stretch of, I don't even know. I think it was 5 years where I missed a buck with a bow, a decent buck with a bow, every single year. And it's weird. It's like does. I killed does all day long. You throw some horns on that thing, it was bad. I had bad buck fever with a bow.
My wife will tell you that she doesn't get buck fever, and she doesn't. But I can get excited enough.
You throw her off
and give her a little too much coaching that it will affect her shooting.
Oh, yeah, we all need to learn how to shut up sometimes.
That's after. So there's a video of her shooting. It would have been the best spike ever. Dude, this mature buck, and on one side, he just got this big, huge spike that comes out, probably 10, 12 inches. The other side, he's got the half of an 8-point rack. And he's standing down here at about 150 yards. And I get so drove up in trying to give her directions on this is the first deer we've shot at together, probably. And it's on video. And she misses him twice. And then later on, she basically told me, you just need to shut up. I know what to do. So from now on, I just, this last one was a little interesting. But it was just trying to tell her where the deer was going to be. But once she got on the deer, I'm on autopilot. She just does her thing. So
me coaching my wife, or trying not to coach my wife. I like you said, it's just, I get so excited. I guess I get it from you. I get so excited. I want her to get this deer. I want her to get it bad. Like her, because her deer she killed last year and the spike she killed this year. Oh man, at some point I'm just like, just shut up. Are you on the deer?
His wife killed a stud of a deer.
Oh my God.
Back here last year.
For her very first deer, she killed a monster legacy.
So what are we going to see today, Andrew?
Yeah, what are you guys going to see?
With you and Kristin, am I going to see a lot of coaching going on?
Oh, no, I'm going to keep my mouth shut. I'll look for deer and I'll be like, there it is. And then I'll tell her what the range is, even though she ain't going to need it, because that gun, basically the way that gun is technically zeroed at 200, which is probably why it adds 2 inches when you're there. So she has to aim a little low because everyone shoots rifles slightly different, but dialed. Like, she shot 5 shots and all of them were basically the exact same. So she knows where to go.
Well, you know where the area we're hunting, and basically 200 yards would be the max that we could shoot something.
Basically just hold dead on at that point. That is a huge buck.
For y'all audio listeners, I just showed him a picture of my wife's
Did
buck
you measure
from last year. Yeah, he's 133 because he's bigger than Chris's deer. first deer ever. We hunted that morning, and then we had a buck come by. We tried to shoot.
There's a theme there.
My wife's first deer made mine. First deer looked like a child. It's sad because you can see the bodies, like they're both shoulder mounted. Mm-hmm. And just looking at the neck size, you're like, oh, geez, that one has 2 years on my buck.
But yeah, so long story short, we hunt and that evening, and I mean, we weren't there 20, 30 minutes maybe, get some does to come out. Had a group of does walk up the lane, and these 2 yearlings jump the fence and come onto the oat patch. And she goes, buck. I'm like, where? Like where the does came out. And I'm looking through my binoculars, and I see this buck walking down the trail there. I don't even need binoculars to see that this is a big deer. I pick up my binoculars though, and I could see, we got pictures of him. He's got a claw on his brow tine to making him an 11 point. And then I'm like, oh my God, that's a freaking giant. And I'm like, and the thought, I will say though,
you can't tell her that because then you add the pressure.
Exactly.
So
oh yeah, that's an okay deer.
I was like, no, I said, that's a big deer. And so instead of walking towards all the does, he jumps the fence to go be with the yearlings. Yeah. And jumps on our side of the fence, and she freaking laid him out. Yeah. And Maddie always pokes fun at me. She's like, I'm surprised you didn't take the gun from her. I was like, I couldn't have.
I get more, even though I've only been hunting 6 years, I get more excited. Like my buddy who I showed you the picture, who's out hunting right now, my year would be made if he got his first deer.
Exactly.
And it's just like, it's really exciting to see people get out there.
It feels like I get more nervous, more excited seeing other people about to shoot a deer. Mm-hmm. Unless honestly, I mean, if I'm with you or if I'm with Chris, I know it's gonna die anyways. Y'all are gonna get it anyway. So I was like, yeah. Because whenever we were bow hunting with Chris, or you were hunting with Chris, and I was in the ladder stand. And then I'm watching these deer, and I'm like, he's going to kill one of these dang deer. I got no doubt in my mind, if Chris gets in front of a deer or you get in front of a deer, it's going to die.
little did we know he was going to kill 2 that evening.
Yeah, I know. I tried to.
Oh, yeah, you texted me when that happened.
He killed 2 that same evening.
Yeah, same set.
He shoots one, and I'm like, it's like, what? I get this other doe to come and feed. I'm going to shoot this doe. I'm getting ready. And then all the deer scatter again. And I'm like, he shot another deer.
Well, let's be honest. If I hit lopside the first time, I could have taken the doe afterwards.
We could have.
Because when he came back, a bunch of deer came back.
Exactly.
Best part. It's a good part about bow hunting.
It's crazy.
Love it. So
y'all want to talk about Arizona?
Yeah,
what's the plan with Arizona? We all have Arizona OTC tags. I have one too, but I can't go in January.
I texted you and I was like, "Hey, you interested in maybe just meeting up and hunt the same area or something?" And you're like,
"Well, at the time, I was going to Dallas Safari Club, and that has since changed, as we've talked about. But maybe I could go later in the year potentially. Mm-hmm. It's possible. I could go for the fall season, but the January season is the season you want to go.
Well, that's the thing, because we looked at this when we got the tag. Couldn't go do Now Guy, and the whole plan was if we don't go Now Guy,
we're going to Arizona.
We're going to buy the OTC tag and go to Arizona. We're going to hunt in January, possibly do the mid-October to mid-September, maybe. Hopefully, we're chasing something else during that time. But rolls around in December, we could, if we haven't filled the tag, we could go back in December and do it and do it again. Mm-hmm. Maybe go to the same area, maybe go to a different area.
Yep.
So we're looking, and here's our number one. So you gave me some intel. I've got a guy from work. His dad lives in Arizona. This guy I work with, he's got like a really nice coos deer that he shot with a bow, mounted at his house that I've seen. So his dad was giving us some intel on a unit, but the unit he's giving us intel and where they hunt is right on the border.
Yeah.
And I'm like, me and Curtis had the conversation. We don't want to be right on the border. Mm-hmm. Like, don't, from what I have heard this time of year, since it's cooler, there's more traffic. And I'm just like, I don't want to deal with that. And I don't want to come back and find my camp, ransacked. Yeah. Because that happens down here on the border in Texas.
Yeah.
Deer hunters had their deer camps. My ex-father-in-law, they had a trailer house down there. They would leave the trailer house unlocked because if they didn't, the people coming through there were breaking into the trailer house and looking for food, looking for water, whatever else. And so you couldn't leave anything there. Long story short, I don't want to deal with that. So we're not going right on the border. So we've looked at some different units, and we're kind of looking on that west side, not the west side.
East side?
It would be the east side. But, we're looking at travel time pretty less than what it took us to go to Utah.
Yeah.
We're talking like 13 and a half hours.
Well, you're just taking I-10 the entire time.
Yeah, it's less than Nebraska even.
Less than Nebraska. So, which will be interesting.
And half of that drive is Texas.
Yeah.
More than half. Because you only have to go through Texas, New Mexico, and then Arizona.
Well, evidently, like going through New Mexico is like all of like 2 hours.
It's nothing.
Really?
Yeah, it's
exactly.
very fast. It's very fast. And you wouldn't even know you're not in Texas because it all looks like West Texas.
It all looks the same.
Once you're in El Paso, you're more than halfway to California.
Yeah, that's always that. Hearing that always, it's like
it's crazy.
It's insane.
So here's the funny thing: I have never been west of Van Horn on I-10.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Or driving. That is.
Yeah.
Now, east from Van Horn, I've been, all the way to almost Alabama. So I'm pretty familiar, especially from Houston to Louisiana. And anyway, so done a lot of that. So this will be very interesting to do that. But yeah, so we're looking at some of those. And that's the interesting thing too is, so we try this unit and we don't find what we're looking for. Bounce it. We have 3 units lined up that we're looking at.
I was going to ask because what happens if the quota gets met?
Well, generally the 3 that we're looking at, the quotas for coos deer never get met.
Okay.
They never.
I mean, your success percentage is really low.
But exactly. But we're looking at units that have good quota numbers, but also have already had good success, so that that there's coos deer there.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at the past success rates, and what I look at is rifle.
Yeah.
So if you like if I was looking, and there's a 10% success rate with a bow, but they hunt in January with a rifle or December with a rifle, and they're 80%. Well, the deer are there.
Yep.
You're just not killing them with your bow.
I mean, it's a hard hunt. There's not much to hide behind. Mm-hmm. Lots of hours behind the glass and small animals that can hide extremely well.
Well, but they're whitetails, right?
Yeah.
And I've been hunting whitetails all my life. And they're smaller, but to me, I'm betting they're just like hill country whitetail.
Yeah.
They weigh about
less trees.
Well, I don't know. Well, you can get. I mean, there's some of that hill country stuff that it's little scrub oaks and stuff like that too. And it could be pretty rocky terrain. Mm-hmm. And sometimes a buck in the hill country, he might not weigh more than 80 or 90 pounds. Mm-hmm. And they all got especially when we hunted out there in the 80s, they were all like this. He goes, nobody did any like real deer management. Anyway, I think it's going to be freaking fun. Mm-hmm. We're going to hike. We're kind of keeping an eye on the weather, and there for a little while, it was could be like in the 20s at night. I'm like, I don't know if I want a cold camp in backpack camp with no heat source in the backcountry when it's 20 degrees. But since then, they have kind of come off of that, and they're kind of like in the mid 30s. I'm like, oh, no, that's totally doable. We're down. We're going to be backpacking and looking and glassing, and that's what I love. Just love that.
That's the best kind.
It'll be fun. It will be super fun. And like I said, Nicholas is going and Curtis is going.
You boys ready to hike?
I am ready. It's going
to be a lot of hiking, probably.
I'm ready.
I haven't put in near enough miles. I was.
Oh, you're being serious?
I'm serious.
You've done a lot of hunting this year.
I've done a lot of hunting. I haven't done a lot of hiking. Well, so like the elk hunt, when we went to the bow hunting elk in Utah, dude, I had been rucking. I had been working out, killing it, and then kind of took my foot off the gas. And then when we did the Colorado hunt, I'm like, I hadn't quite worked out a whole lot with this one. I'll be honest, in the last 30 days, I haven't put a backpack on. And
yeah,
so
it's gonna be a little rough.
my concern is not necessarily my back or anything.
Ankle.
No, but I've noticed that just toughening up the bottom of your feet.
Mm-hmm.
Just hiking and wearing the boots. I hadn't been doing it. And so I'm afraid I'm going to pay dearly with just tender feet for a little while. So we'll see.
Yeah. That'll be tough.
It'll be all right.
You'll suck it up. You've got a lot of experience sucking it up, so
It'll
be fine.
It will be fine. It will be fine. So any thoughts on you for us going to Arizona? I'm just looking forward to it. It'll be fun.
I know. I'm looking forward to it. I've been a lot more these past few months. Once I walk, I've got a loop now at my house now that it's a 1.5 mile loop, and I try to walk that at least 5, if not more. I'll walk it at least 3 or 4 times, but it's.
And you're wearing your hunting boots your new hunting boots right now.
Yeah, I'm breaking these in, and yeah, they're Columbia. I think they're called Fairbanks, and they've got 200 grams of insulation. So not.
You're wearing insulated boots right now.
Yeah.
No wonder you're warm. It's 60 degrees out. I wore my insulated boots, which had 400 grams of insulation when I was in my Montana hunt, and my feet were sweating, and it was in the 20s as a high.
Yeah, so I was like, I got to break them in. So
I'm wearing the same boots.
Good for you.
That I took to the Utah bow hunt. That's what I'm wearing.
I will say
no insulation.
I don't
not
even
worried
own
about
insulated boots anymore.
Well, I have those. I bought those Kinetrex 400 gram to insulate for that 4-season Colorado, and I will wear them in that type of environment because my feet were never
you
got
were
cold.
single digits, right?
Yeah.
So
One at night it was. In the day it was in the 20s, so it was fine.
Still cold enough.
In a foot of snow.
Yeah, no,
just
a
over
foot
foot
of
of
snow.
snow.
They were great. They were
The
fine.
picture you sent me, I almost didn't see your feet
because of the
snow. I was like, yeah,
this is true. But I literally was not cold.
Yeah.
There was a bunch of snow around. It was cold outside, but I literally was not cold.
Well, that's like they say. What's the saying in Finland? There is no bad weather. There's just bad clothing.
Hey,
could be. Could
yeah.
be. So let's. You've been to Arizona.
I have.
You're on an elk hunt.
Yep.
Any advice for us?
Oh, well, I think elk hunting is a lot different.
True.
You're in the south, so it's gonna be more
you're a little
desert.
further north.
Yeah.
Or what? Just thoughts, because you've got the tag too. If you were going, what would Andrew do?
Well, I mean, I think you're going to do what I would do. I would have at least three different units picked out. I would bet that if I look at the units that I have written in my notes on my laptop, if I could find them, that we'd have at least 2 of the same units probably. And I would focus on glassing points where I can see in almost any direction and try and find places where I could get probably at least 2 miles away from people if possible, but it all depends on the unit. The issue, like the problem I had with Arizona that you probably won't have where you're going is the unit that I had a good amount of roads. You weren't getting more than 2 miles away from the road.
Yeah.
2 miles was as far in as you could go, basically. I always want to get further. Like when I was in Montana, there were a lot of roads, but I found pockets where you could hike more than a mile away. And I was right. There was no one there. And that's where those giant elk were that I will never draw a tag for in my life, but they're there.
If you get lucky, though.
I mean, yeah, sure, maybe. But I always want to get away from people. And I would spend a lot of time looking at the topography because in that terrain, Google Earth is going to be your best friend for finding those shrub oaks because you're going to need something to hide behind if there's no micro terrain for you to hide under because you need to close distance because you're going to find them a mile away and you're going to have to figure out how to get to them and where they're going. I like Remy Warren's method of desert mule deer. I feel like it's probably similar. You find them in the morning, watch them bed, let them rebed because they almost always rebed. Then that second bed, you make your move. And that's probably how I would go into it. And then the evening I would try and locate them, see where they're at, and then be there in the morning. Depending on the weather, I would probably do I would probably do mobile camp. So I would have a main spot, but carry camp with me.
Yeah, that's our plan. We're going to have, the Kodiak Grizzly with the heater and the cots to sleep in, but we're going to hike out from camp, and if whatever draw we find them in, camp close.
Yep.
And stay back there with them if we can. Mm-hmm. If we find them, hopefully. If we don't, we'll just stay mobile and keep looking. We are concentrating on wilderness areas, away from the roads and away from all the people driving side by sides.
Yes.
So
imagine that I feel like that's such a common. Go ahead.
That messed me up on my Arizona hunt because there wasn't even a side by side. It was a guy in a Jeep. We hiked in. The main area we were hiking, so the unit that I was in, you could go from like 6,500 feet up to 7,300 feet. And the weather shifted drastically the week before the hunt. So our whole plan got screwed because of that. And we weren't sure if maybe they moved back up in elevation up to 7,300 because we weren't seeing anything down low. I ended up killing him in the spot that we picked the first day, but whatever. We go back up to 7,300 feet and we hiked in 2 miles. And in that part of the unit, there were less roads. So you could probably get 3 miles, and we might have been 3 miles in. And some jerk drove his Jeep on the hiking trail and he literally drove the path we were walking. And like, clearly you could do it, but it wasn't marked on the map. None of the maps had that marked, and you were not allowed to drive back there. And that ruined our evening hunt. I can tell you that, because we were back there and I'm like, do you hear a vehicle? Like, we're in dense forest, relatively 3 miles probably from the road. And I'm like, do you hear that? And then you just see this bright blue Jeep driving by. Yeah. If you can get away from vehicles, and if you see signs of vehicle tracks, stay away, because someone will drive down them. That's
a weird thing. If there's anything that looks like a little road, so we know that a wilderness area, you should not be driving in a wilderness area. It's prohibited. So that's kind of what we're going to kind of be looking at. So,
but I feel like that's just such a common thing that I've noticed now in hunting out west and in like hunting even like in Nebraska. If there are roads anywhere, people are going to be hunting the roads. It just
I guarantee you.
Sometimes it works though. Montana. Everyone got stalks in on the last day because we drove the roads and we found the deer. Now that I found the deer, I would have a much better plan of getting in there, because most of these people are finding the deer and they can't actually shoot them.
Yeah.
I know how to shoot them now.
Okay.
But the whole driving the roads thing, the Colorado elk hunt that we were on, everybody we ran across was hunting cow elk just like we were. And all they were doing was driving the roads, hoping to find a cow elk that they could shoot from their little road that they were on.
Just kind of, it's weird to me how, I don't know. Some people who just, I don't know. I don't want to say not put the work in, but like that aren't people who aren't willing to go that extra mile to get off the road.
But sometimes it works.
Better hunting.
It does.
Sometimes
it works.
I can't argue with that. Like it works, but it just sometimes I don't know. It just seems weird to me how now people they don't want to go that extra mile to get to a potentially better area.
Well, what we learned was we never saw an elk while we were driving the roads. Now, where we stopped and we got out and we hiked a little bit and found a little glassing point, that's when we started seeing the elk that we were finding. So yeah, I think you got to be flexible. And somebody had said once that drive the road, don't leave the truck until you see them, and then get out of the truck and go hunt them, figure out where they're at. Now, maybe that works. Sounds like it kind of worked for y'all.
It worked for the mule deer. Yeah. But here's the deal. I found more deer with my original plan, looking at the maps, trying to figure out where is the sanctuary, because we were trying to find the sanctuary and food and bedding for does. We were really hunting does because we knew that the bucks would be with the does.
That time of year.
Yeah. And I think that we found more deer doing like the original method that we wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
We just could not get close enough. And I still, when my podcast with Peter comes out 4 days from now, I think, I have it scheduled to come out. We talk about this, and I don't think he agrees with me, but I think that there were bucks in those groups of does. There's no way I saw a group of 30 does. Like, there's no way.
There's got to be a buck.
There's got to be at least one in there.
Maybe.
Well, and the thing that
maybe not.
The thing that makes me convinced, though, is we had that mirage effect in the middle of the day, which kind of screws things up. So when Peter's dad went after that second buck, we watched him go from 200 yards out to 800. And I said this on both podcasts. I watched him go with 2 does. And by the time he got out to like 800 plus yards, he looked like a doe. I could no longer see his antlers, which makes me think that all of those, like, there had to be bucks in there and I just couldn't see them, which honestly annoyed me because I would have been even more aggressive earlier in the hunt if I knew there were bucks in there. We just sat back because we're like, oh, those are all does. Can't do anything about it. End of rant. Sorry.
No, you're good.
So what you're saying is you should just want to got a little closer and look.
Yeah. The problem was the terrain always looks different on the ground.
And you're not kidding.
When we got to this spot, it looked like you'd have perfect visibility on everything. It'd all be within. Our thought was everything will be about 1,000 yards at most. And then I can cut the distance a little bit, get to shooting range. Well, it turns out what I thought was 1,000 yards was like a mile. And you could not cut the distance because if you were not already in the right spot, they will see you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you didn't get set up appropriately, and we got to a point where I think if we had more days and if we shifted the whole thing back a week, I think we would have been golden because I think we were a little early for the rut because the bucks we had let's see, Peter's dad went after 2, I went after 2, Peter went after 1. None of them were chasing. They were little sniffing, but not
full on,
not up butts. Like they were just hanging out with the does.
So this is just kind of a side note here. Today's what did we say it was?
Today's the 6th, January 6th.
Of January. We watched 10 bucks chase a hot doe yesterday morning. 10 of them.
What, is this a third rut? Well, no, it's Texas, so it could be the second rut.
Or, so they came across a yearling doe. And she was born this year. Now she's 9 months old, and she's came into estrus. So maybe but it was just funny to watch like 10 bucks.
Yeah.
She would run across that pipeline down there, and then there would be 10 bucks. And then she'd come back. And, this went on for a while yesterday morning. And you're just like, holy cow. When it's on, it's on. You know it's on.
Yeah. And when we were there, though, it was not on. It was not on. Not at all. So I think even without adjusting our tactics, I think even if we just went a week later, we might have had success. But now that I've been there and we hunted 6 days, I know the best spots to go to find deer. I also know how to get into those spots. And if I drew that tag again next year or this year, now this is 2024, and I went back, I know exactly where I would go and what I would do because there's only so many spots. Like when you figure it out, those sanctuaries, those bedding areas, even if you kill the biggest buck on the mountain, there's going to be another one that's going to take the spot. And there's a reason that buck was in that spot. And that new buck is going to use the same spot because it's the best spot for a reason. Once you learn an area, it makes it so much easier to be successful.
There's no doubt. And I talked to you about it on mine, and we'll kind of roll this up here. And we've said it already here. The more times you can go to a place. So if I can go to Arizona OTC coos deer hunting, and then I can get lucky and draw a mule deer tag there or an elk tag there. I mean, I'm just learning it, and it's going to be better. Going to Utah. Yeah, so we go to Utah cow spike hunting. Yeah. Eventually, we're going to get drawn to go archery mule deer hunting there. Who knows? Might get really lucky one day and draw a limited elk tag and go back to the same unit. But the more times you go, the more you learn about it, the better you're going to be at it. So do it more often.
Yeah, do it as much as you can.
Exactly.
And drop waypoints for everything.
Yep, exactly. And, like I mentioned on mine, and with Nicholas sitting here, because you've already been doing this now for 6 years. Like I said, this is my second year to apply for stuff, right? And even if you think you're not ever going, I don't have the time right now. My schedule, my life doesn't allow it. But, in 5 years from now, maybe I'll have more time. Or in 10 years from now, maybe my kids will be grown and I'll have more time. Get points now.
That's what I tell everybody. I'm trying to convince all of my friends, look, if you think you're ever going to hunt out west, get points now. Because it's only going to get harder, probably.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things where maybe this year you're like, oh, I don't want to hunt pronghorn. Why would I want to hunt that thing? Well, maybe 10 years from now.
Well, I know two boys that never really had them on their list until we ran across. We had a
until
tag.
we just ran until we decided to get a tag.
We got our tag in our pocket. We ran across one and we're like, "Oh, this is fun as hell!
Yeah.
I could do this again."
Pronghorn fun. Oh,
and with a bow,
so much fun
with a bow. I mean, we were 60 yards. If it wouldn't been for the coyote, I have no doubt that Nicholas would have stuck. And he was. I don't know much about judging pronghorn.
Good Lord,
but he was good.
Yeah,
he was nice.
He was way bigger than I've seen quite a few YouTube videos. It was on pronghorn and seen TV shows and all that.
That's all I've got.
He was a lot bigger than a lot of them I've seen people kill.
Anyway, yeah, but it's on my list.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it this year or next, but at some point, I want to go chase him again.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I like to have the points to go do it.
Exactly. I tell everyone, build the points now, because when that hunt comes, and especially for a state like Arizona, if you're going to hunt something, just apply for everything. Once you buy the license, if you're like, oh, I want to do an elk hunt, just buy the mule deer point. It's $15. Like, come on.
One day you might get lucky.
One day
you might get drawn. You might
maybe you'll get the kaibab hunt.
Or you might draw a really good elk hunt.
Or that, yeah.
You never know.
And it's like I was doing some looking into the states where I could go hunt moose. And I was reading about the states and I saw a thread on Wyoming moose. It being so incredibly hard, and it's like you probably have a better chance of hitting the actual lottery than you do to get this moose point. I saw a whole thing where people said there's a whole thread of people that it's like it's almost not even worth it to apply for Wyoming moose now because it's so ridiculous.
No, the way that it's being managed, like something's got to change because it's the same with the big three, moose, mountain goat, and bighorns. They need to find another way of doing it because people are going to stop paying into the system. Like that's I think. Whoops, sorry guys for who heard that. I just whacked the microphone stand. I don't apply for those. I think there's 2 states that I still apply for bighorns, but by and large, it's not worth it. I'm never going to draw it. Why am I going to spend $100 plus every year just to build points for something I'll never hunt? I don't know what the solution is, but this isn't sustainable in my opinion.
Something's got to give. Just doing the research that I've done into it, it's like there's a couple states that are like that, but it's just like it almost seems nigh impossible to get that tag.
Yeah,
I just want to hunt elk, mule deer, and occasionally pronghorn. And then throw some whitetail in there.
Yeah.
Well,
Nicholas wants to drag me on this moose hunt, but I'm going.
You can drag me on the moose hunt.
Oh, yeah?
You draw that, I'm in.
All right. I've got 2 hunts. That one is moose that I actually think is.
I didn't think we were going to have enough time for dream hunts, but evidently we do.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
How long have we been going for?
Oh, a little over an hour and some change.
Oh, that's not that's not bad. Hey,
I mean, we're getting close on. We need to get going soon.
There is another hunt.
There's a hunt that needs to happen right now.
Anyway, I'll try to keep this quick. Like moose is I think it's moved up to my number 1 dream hunt now because it feels like it's attainable. Well, or at least more attainable than my other one,
which was
mountain goat.
Yeah,
because it's the more research I do into mountain goat hunting, it is like we were saying, like it's so freaking hard to get a tag for them, and also the physical aspect of that hunt is ridiculous. It's like I'm talked to the guy who owns Live Oak, who's been on a mountain goat hunt, and you're following trails that he said you're following a trail that looks like a rabbit run. And the guy's like, nope, that's a mountain goat trail. And the guy, talking to him, he's like, yeah, the guide goes before and stakes into the side of the mountain, puts stakes into the side of the mountain so you can climb up. And having, it was like, oh my God, like it is.
No thanks.
Yeah,
I'm not afraid of heights, but if I have a choice.
And if it gets to the point where it's like, oh, and if you even get the chance to shoot one, you better choose carefully where you shoot it so it doesn't. And you better make a good shot so it doesn't go die on some ledge where you have to rappel down to go get it,
or it falls all the way to the bottom of the mountain.
Yeah.
So that obviously that's like super pie in the sky. I think that would be awesome to even have a chance to even see one. But moose, I think, is a little bit more attainable. So
let's go shoot a 1,200-pound animal.
Apparently, moose meat is the best.
See, I don't know, and I'm just going to had a buddy in the Marine Corps. When we were stationed in Hawaii, we both went home on leave at the same time. He was from Wyoming, I was from Texas, so we came when we bow hunted in Hawaii together. He brought back 2 elk steaks, and I brought back some deer jerky. Anyway, elk steaks were phenomenal. He tells me the story about when the one and only moose he'd ever killed. And he said it smelled, not smelled bad, but just the odor, the pungent odor of the moose. Every time he cooked the meat, he would smell that smell and he couldn't eat it. So I don't know. That was the one story from the actual person I know that it ever killed.
I've only ever heard it on podcasts, but everyone I've heard it on podcasts says moose is the best.
I'm willing to give it a try. Right now, I don't think he could beat Now Guy. I'm telling you, that's that anyway.
What's your dream hunt? Do you have one?
A dream hunt?
Yeah, your dream hunt. So like, all right, let's say reach for the moon, probably never going to do it. And then the attainable one.
Something that is attainable.
Henry Mountain mule deer in Utah with a bow.
Okay.
Limited entry unit. Might probably never draw it on points. Might get lucky in my lifetime to get one of the lottery draws maybe. But that's Henry Mountain mule deer.
Okay. What's the attainable one?
That is the attainable one.
Well, okay. Well, what's the
all right?
What's the
rung below that one?
Never, probably most likely never gonna get it, but it would be awesome to go to.
I would love to go hunt caribou.
Ooh.
No, I think it's probably pretty attainable. It's easy. I mean, it's just
if you got money, you can go to Alaska and do it.
Yeah, that's the thing.
If you got enough money, you can go do it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Nothing, dude. Well, I guess kind of crazy. I would love to go shoot a kudu.
Ooh, kudu are cool.
Those are some cool
My buddy has
looking
one.
stuff.
His family has some land in South Texas, and they had a neighbor that had some exotics, and their fence went down. And they were nice. They tried to get the kudu to go back on the other side, but they couldn't get it. So they waited a couple of years after they was on their property for 2 years. He was like, that's it. I'm shooting it. And he has it shoulder mounted in his house. That thing is huge.
Yep. I'd like to go shoot mine in Africa, but yes, I'd be totally. All right, let's round this up there, Andrew. Dream hunt.
The unattainable one is probably Desert Bighorn in Mexico, because those currently cost $50,000, which I would not spend money on that hunt, but I've seen those and they're gorgeous. And I think the somewhat attainable one would be probably caribou in Alaska. I think that one, realistically I can pull that one off. The Desert Bighorn I hope I actually get is in Arizona. I'm going to keep applying for that one. I have that unit there that I've been applying in, and I hope one day I get that tag.
You get draw that tag, I'll come and carry your water for you. Serious, just to go on it. Yeah, it'd be fun.
That would be dope.
I hope so. I hope I get it.
So, all right, I think it's time that we do some real hunting.
Yeah.
Instead of talking about it,
all we got to do is put the key in the ignition and drive over there.
Yeah.
So it certainly is attainable. Let's hope that the deer want to cooperate much better. So this morning was back behind the house. I don't know why. Very few deer. But yesterday, the evening was way better than the morning. So hopefully, cross our fingers, we can get your wife a deer this evening.
I hope so.
So,
all right.
Anything else?
No.
Andrew, It was great to see you again.
Yeah.
Great doing the podcast. So whether you're listening to the Salty Yak Outdoors podcast or
Endure Hunt podcast,
we thank y'all for listening.
Yep. We'll see y'all next time.
All right, talk to y'all guys and girls later.
Later, y'all.
Hey, Andrew.
Hey, Cary.
We weren't planning on doing any more podcasting stuff.
No, we weren't.
But the events last night, we had to talk about some of it.
Yeah.
So me and Andrew, here it is the next day after you listen to the podcast, and we're adding this to it. We are in the deer stand hunting again together.
Mm-hmm.
And Andrew's laughing at the setup. So we brought my podcast setup to the deer stand, and he's videoing us. And so hopefully you're looking at us on YouTube also.
Yep.
And you can see us in what we call the Taj Mahal blind. So we came over here yesterday evening, you, me, and your lovely wife.
Yep. With
the whole intentions of her
getting a deer,
right?
Yeah.
We saw how many deer?
0.
0, which we usually don't zero.
It's the first time I've been here that we didn't see deer. This is my 5th or 6th hunt with you on this place.
Yeah, we zeroed.
And we've seen 7-ish maybe. Well, there's probably some duplication. So we've seen a handful of does.
We've seen a few this morning. Hadn't seen any bucks, but we've seen a few deer this morning. But we're here to just give you a quick recap of the events that happened last night.
I feel like a newscaster in here.
Well, Andrew, what did you think about how the way the team performed last night?
It was great.
Y'all did wonderful. And I think the funny thing was, so we're all 3 sitting in here, and the plan was for Kristin to shoot a buck. And we're sitting there, and she sees them first. She's like, oh, pigs.
Yeah.
And we're all looking through the binoculars behind the feeder, and we see a group that had some white and black ones in it, but they didn't come to the corn.
No.
Out of nowhere, this other huge group of pigs shows up and goes straight to the middle of the corn.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the plan was, that you were going to get them with the 300 blackout.
Yep.
But I don't know. Something overcame me, and I'm like, Kristin, get the gun out the window. She's like, what? I'm like, you're shooting too. She's like, what? What am I shooting? I'm like, we're going to kill some pigs. And my whole thing, I was thinking, and I've done this before, is like one person shoots and then the other person who has the AR just opens up on them.
Yeah.
So that's what was the plan in my mind.
I think it worked out.
There was dead pigs on the ground. So
and there's probably more over here somewhere.
I was wondering this morning if we do
a little walk after.
We will, but also we'll look and see if any buzzards start circling. That'll be a really good, or caracaras are really good indicators. If fresh dead is over there, we'll go over there and look. But it was funny because she didn't think she was going to be shooting, and then we're having the conversation while the pigs are in front of us. She's like, "What about if there's one behind it?"
Hey, listen, I'm okay with her asking that question because that's an ethical question.
Yes, it's
for anything other than pigs.
It certainly is, but she just didn't quite grasp the concept that I'm like, these are like rats, and we're going to kill as many of them as we can. If you can shoot 2 in one shot, great. But she did ask. She's like, what if they're, and where do I shoot? I'm like, just pick the biggest one out there. And you know what? She did excellent.
She did perfect.
She made a perfect heart shot on that pig. And then you opened up on them, and of course, you have about half of a second when they're running, and you just have to go.
I got 5 shots off, and that was it.
That's
because
good.
They were gone.
The other day, I think I got 2 or 3 shots off.
Yeah.
So as you just try to,
the first shot was a well-placed shot for me. I was like a quarter second behind her, so it probably didn't hit where I was aiming because they moved.
Mm-hmm.
But then after that, it was just like, all right, boom, boom, boom. Where are they? Just trying to, I wasn't even aiming. I was just like, all right, the dot is on pig. It's
exactly
pulling the trigger.
Exactly. If the dot is on a pig, pull the trigger. So it was just, she was super excited about that.
Oh, yeah.
No deer came in, but she did kill that pig, and you got to shoot at him. And it was just, it was a fun time. We had a great time.
Yesterday was a great day. Like between that, my buddy who I'm going to have on, he already, like we were talking last night, and he's like, yeah, we got to get on the podcast and talk about it because he got his first deer.
Y'all were so excited with him texting y'all about he killed his first deer ever.
Yep.
By himself in New Jersey late season, with a muzzleloader
on public land.
On public land in the snow.
In the snow. In the hail. So
in
the
hail.
snowstorm turned into a hailstorm. There were probably 3 or 4 inches of snow on the ground. I don't want to ruin all the details.
Okay,
when we're not recording, I'll tell you some details because I'm going to do a full podcast with him on it because I got some funny details.
Y'all were so excited for him. You're like, I can't wait to get him in and actually talk to him on the phone about what happened. So we just want to give you a quick recap of what happened last night when all these pigs showed up, because I'm sure you'll be seeing a few pictures on social on that. And we just want to give you a quick little recap and talk a little podcast here in the deer stand. And we don't see any deer. There's about 20 doves. Well, there was about 20 doves under the feeder. I don't know where they went.
Just flew off.
Maybe something's coming in.
We have this rare vulture that doesn't know how to fly, which is hilarious.
We see this thing running across the pasture, and I'm like, what is that? And we get to looking at it, because at first it's running so fast. I'm like, is that a turkey? Because we've got a few turkeys around here, but then we all pull up on binoculars and like, that's a buzzard. And it's running across the pasture. And then we see it yesterday evening running back to a different wood line. And this morning it's running from that wood line back towards, where we dumped some pig carcasses the other day. Crazy buzzard. Anyway.
Insane.
Right.
But that was fun. It was a good day. I was sitting back home. We were eating dinner and we were talking about I can't believe all of this happened in one day.
Yeah. The whole Robin Hood.
Mm-hmm. Robin Hood, 45 yards, which crazy. Then pig, he shot that deer. It's a great day.
Great day.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to sign off for now. We're not telling you we may come back. We may not. We'll see. All right. We'll talk to y'all guys and girls later.
See ya.